Hi everyone. If you're watching this video, it is to go over our two-step percent notes, which is tax, tip, and discount. That's pages 8 and 9 in your percent packet. Okay, so please follow along and fill in your notes. So there's two different ways that we can solve percents. One is with proportions and the other is equations. There's actually more ways than that, but those are the two ways that we're going to focus on. When we're using those two different methods, there's actually different ways under each that we can do this. So when we're finding tax, first of all, when you find tax is something that has to be added on. So it's always necessary to add, okay, the tax on. Now, you can add it on in the beginning or you can add it on in the end. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute, okay? So problem number 1 says Sean bought a new DVD player for his girlfriend for $200. But he has to pay 7% sales tax. How much will he end up paying in all for the DVD player? That's important because we're not just solving for the tax here, we're solving for the total, okay? So I'm going to first do this with a proportion, okay? So if we're solving for the total and we have to pay 7% sales tax, the 100% is going to be the $200, which is the initial price of the DVD player. Then we're adding the 7% tax on top of it. So what we're actually solving for is 107%. Okay? So we take our percent and we always put it over 100 because percents are out of 100. 200 is the total price of the DVD. It's not part of the price, it's the total price. So we put that on the bottom and it goes with the 100%. And then what we're solving for is the total including the tax, that 107%. So this is our proportion. We can cross multiply and divide, but I think this one is a pretty straightforward scale factor because that's going to be times 2. So then we do 107 times 2, and we get 214. That means that the total price of the DVD with tax is $214. Okay, I keep switching markers to get something a little bit darker. Okay, now if we do this with an equation, again, we're solving for 107%. So for an equation, this is kind of what we're going to do up here, okay? We have the steps up here. So first we multiply the percent in decimal form by the total, okay? So we already said that the total is $200. We know that. And then we multiply the percent in decimal form. Well, we know that the percent here with the tax is 107%. 107% as a decimal is 1.07. So we take this 200 and we're going to multiply it by the 1.07, and that's going to give us our total including tax. So you just pick up your calculator to do this, and we already know that our answer is 214, and then you're going to make sure that you label your answer. So with an equation, and we talked about this when we did one step, you're always doing the whole times the percent as a decimal, and that calculates the part. Okay, that hasn't changed. It's the same exact formula even with this. For the proportion, remember you're doing the part over whole, and then the percent over 100. Again, same thing, okay? Once you got this, go ahead and flip to page 9. I'm going to get a black pen here. Maybe we can see that a little bit better because this is still a little bit light. Okay, so now we're finding tip. So remember, tip is the same as gratuity, okay? You'll often hear it called gratuity. So I'm going to write this here. Olivia? Oh, Griff, can you turn that off, please? Thanks, buddy. Okay, so tip is the same as gratuity. So, you guys are not adults yet, so you probably haven't had to give anybody gratuity yet. But essentially, anybody that's performing a service for you, you should give gratuity to or give a tip to, okay, as a way of saying thank you for doing that. Thank you for cutting my hair. Thank you for moving my luggage, okay? So a tip or gratuity is always something that we add, okay? Makes things more expensive, you're adding on. So again, this says Susan wants to leave her hairdresser a 15% tip. If her haircut costs $24.50, how much did she have to pay in all? Okay. So again, we're going to start with the proportion. Remember, 100% of the haircut is $24.50. We're going to add on this 15% tip, which means total that we have to pay is 115% out of 100. Okay. So the price of the haircut, the 100% is $24.50, and then we're solving for X. Okay. So this is not an easy scale factor. So I'm going to cross multiply and divide here. I'm going to write this out just because maybe we need a little refresher. So we're doing 115 times $24.50 equals 100X. 115 times $24.50 gives us $2,817.50 equals 100X. And now to get the X by itself, we divide both sides by 100. And this gives us 28.175. Now, this is dollars. So because this is dollars, we always run around to the nearest hundredth, which is the 7. The 5 tells us 7 to bump up, giving us a total price of the haircut with the tip of $28.18. Now, FYI, if the problem said, how much does she have to tip her? How much is she going to leave for a tip? Then you wouldn't do 115 here. You would only do 15 here, because then you would just be solving for the 15%. So keep that in mind, okay? It's so important to pay attention to what the actual question is. So now with your equation, remember we start with the whole, the 100%, which is the $24.50. We multiply that by the percent as a decimal. So again, 115% as a decimal is going to be 1.15. We multiply these together and we get 28.175. Again, these are dollars, so we round and we get 28.18. Okay, so often some people think that the equation method is much easier. As you can see, it's a lot less work. Okay, but for some students, this is a lot harder just conceptually, and you guys are used to doing proportions, so the proportion method might be easier. Okay, it does not matter which method you use. You're going to be a stronger math student if you can use both of these, but you do need to understand them both. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the last one we're going to talk about is a discount. This is when things are on sale. So when things are on sale, that's a good thing. That means you're going to save money. So when this happens, we need to subtract. Okay? Ned bought a winter coat that was originally $160 for 20% off. How much did he end up paying for the coat? Okay, so again, we're going to set up a proportion, but here's the thing. We know that we're going to put percent over 100, and then the original price of the coat is $160. But if he's getting the coat for 20% off, then what percent is he paying for the coat? Well, if he gets 20% off, then he has to pay 80%. Okay? He has to pay 80%. And then we're going to put our X here. So again, I'm going to cross multiply. Okay? This gives me 12,800. Divide by 100. And we get 128. So that means the sale price of the winter coat is $128. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to do this a different way. If he has 20% off, then we could put the 20 here. Okay, we could do that. But when we cross multiply and divide, watch what happens. We get 32 equals X. Because this is the amount off, the percent off, what you ultimately solved for is the dollars off, okay? That's how much is being taken off. So then what you would have to do is the original minus the $32 that he's saving, giving you that final sale price of $128. So in this first example, we subtracted the 20% off first and solved for 80%. In the bottom example, we solved for 20%, but then had to subtract it off from the total, okay? This first one is easier. Students make less mistakes with it. So this is the one we're going to encourage you to do, but this one is not wrong, okay? You just have to remember to do this final step. And I think you can imagine that a lot of students do forget to do that, which is why this one is a little bit better. The first one's better, okay? All right, now let's do that with an equation. So again, we start with the total. If it's 20% off, he's paying 80%, which as a decimal is 0.8, okay? We multiply these and we go straight to our final answer of $128. So simple, okay? But again, if instead of 80% you wanted to do 20%, okay, you could do that. We would get 32, and then again, you have to remember to subtract off that $32, which again, a lot of students forget to do that, okay? So these are pages 8 and 9 in your packet. If you need to rewind or watch something again, please do that. And then your homework is going to be to try page 10, okay? And you can use either method, proportions or equations. We would encourage you to try to use some of each, just again, to make you a stronger math student. It will help with your conceptual knowledge of percents as well. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.